Hello, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is the first half of the final mission for this series of Star Trek Adventures Kintsugi. And this session is part of the Open Hearth gaming calendar, and you can find out more about that by looking at the link in the show notes. You can check that out there. It has links to what we do, what we are, and all of that stuff. And of course, you can check out the rest of this YouTube video channel, or if maybe in the future when we've got the podcast thing, you're listening to this set up. We are working on getting the translation of all of our YouTube videos back to podcasts again, because I know that's a nice resource. But we are taking up. Our engineer is down in the bowels of the ship and may or may not be with us later today, but we will see. So we take up and, we have the shot of the Kintsugi in space, and we get the captain's log.
The Kintsugi finds itself underway to a far-out subspace relay called Hala 12. Hala 12 is in the outer perimeter of the L536 system. All communications have been lost with the subspace relay, and it lies near the border of the neutral zone. Federation intelligence does not believe that the Romulans are planning any operations. That is not my opinion, though. We are underway to Hala 12 and should arrive soon to assess the situation.
And I think we come in to your ready room. Again, we've established that it's a smaller ready room. It's a ladder down to it from the bridge, which kind of looks like the battle bridge from Enterprise. And we see seated across from you is Lieutenant Tratic Swan, who is our medical officer. And he says, Captain, we have been able to slow the decay, slow the breakdown from the Borg infection in Ensign Adira Lee. We don't think it's any sort of transformative process, but it is continuing to cause damage to her. We've been able to do a great deal to suppress it, but this is unlike anything we've seen before. As you know, we don't have very much information on how the Borg transformative process works, but this doesn't match up with what we do have. I would recommend that we remove Ensign Lee from active duty and have her sent to a treatment and observation facility. I think that's probably in the best interest of the Federation.
What does the patient want, Doctor?
I have given Ensign Lee a sense that there is some ongoing damage, but I have not spoken to her about the full potential extent of this. I thought that it'd be better if I came and spoke to you first.
Well, thank you for speaking to me first, Doctor. But I believe in openness. So let's see what the patient's opinion is on this matter. That will help guide me on making a decision.
Lieutenant Ward, we come to you. You have your own quarters now. Lieutenant Junior Grade Ward. They would have assigned you, non-ensign quarters. So what what is that like, moving from like having a roommate to having, and these are modest quarters, so you don't have much more space than you had in the shared.
Yeah.
But what do we see there, uh, that tells us something about you and what's going on with you?
Um, I think maybe we might see uh, Ward taking the last of her stuff from her old quarters. Maybe Lee is helping.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like setting everything up, and really um, there is not an awful lot of stuff here to move. It is very Spartan. Um, and instead of putting her brother's hockey stick on the wall, she's just like putting it in the corner, um, just kind of freestanding there. Um, Whatever the regulations are about securing items.
Right.
um, and yeah, it's like very. It doesn't look moved in, but then again, neither did her old quarters. You know.
Uh,
Um,
and what's the thing we see, because this is a TV show? What is the moment we see that tells us that Lee is not 100%? Is it a stumble? Is it a hand to the forehead? Is it some other dramatic gesture or something else?
um, I think it's some kind of disorientation, like when Lee puts down a box on the bed, she kind of backs up as if to sit on her bed in our previous quarters. Like her sense of space is not quite 100%.
And Will, do you want to take Lee here for a second to kind of play out this scene?
Yeah, sure.
Uh,
I think Lee looks kind of drained, less less energetic than normal, and sort of looks up weakly at you.
What, are you all right? I know you've been.
Yeah, yeah, just I don't know what it is. I'm just all those meds that the doc's got me on. Some of them don't make me feel so good.
Why don't you sit down and I'll get you something to drink.
I think she'll push herself up to her feet and say like, "Hey, I'm not dead yet, Ward. Don't."
Well, no, not quite. But just think of the joy you'll have breaking in your next roommate. I mean, I
Yeah,
had
I wonder
to.
who they'll settle me with. I think maybe Fargo wants to move. I heard she doesn't like her roommate.
Oh, well, Party Central, I guess. Dan, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the doc says there's always a place for me in Med Bay if I want it, and she smiles. Like, you know.
Well, that's strange coming from Wayne, right?
Yeah, but hey, you're gonna have all the privileges of being a junior officer.
Yeah, I forgot my pips this morning. I forgot my other pip this morning. I was I turned up on the bridge out of uniform, technically. So
Hmm.
I guess it hasn't quite sunk in yet.
Well, Captain Carlton seems to be a stickler for uniform, I'm sure.
Yeah. Um,
But hey, I can't wait for your quarter warming.
well, poker tonight, right? I mean, are you hosting or am I hosting?
Well, I suddenly have twice as much room.
For one night only till Farga comes
That's how
to
we'll
wreck the
sell it.
place. Yeah.
One night only.
that seems like a good place to cut. Petty Officer Jaro, we've seen your lab. last time. We've seen bits of it. What is it that we see now that tells us that Lieutenant Wan, the doctor, has consulted with you about the Adira Lee situation, and what is it that we see you working on?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple extra screens or monitors in the space. And I think she's running simulations, like doing like a modeling and working on a hypothesis that came to her recently about reprogramming the nanites to the benefit of the patient. So thinking the nanites as this external thing that must be defeated, how can we actually sort of hijack it or make it help the patient, help repair the damage? Are any of the nanites still in the patient?
Well, here's one of the things is you have probably, in the records here, notes from Picard's transformation and from some of the other Borg that were picked up. But there's something different about the infection in Lee that says to you that there's been like an upgrade or an adaptation. What do you think that is? What do you think is happening there?
I think that the technology is attempting to jump from inorganic to biotech. So like a living technology. So it's less of a separate thing, and that'll help to integrate with the host.
Yeah, it's striking to you, and at this moment, kind of a little overwhelming. So who comes in to like interrupt your work? Is it Juan? Is it the captain? Is it somebody else?
Let me just take a look and see what we've got here. Let's see. How about Warrant Officer Kamalo?
So she comes in. She always looks impatient, and she'll say, "The captain asked me to check in and see if you had any update on the researches into Ensign Lee's syndrome."
And like Mara would just like offer some like herbal tea that Kamala has refused to even look at several times already.
Kind of sets
Yeah.
it down.
Yeah. Just this is like a tradition whenever Kamala comes in, it's like, here's the tea that you're going to ignore. The reports are ongoing. I don't want to bother the captain needlessly, but I do send them, every 6 or so hours with what I have. I'm currently looking into reprogramming this colony over here, and Mara would just gesture to this sort of separate unit that's not like plugged into anything on the ship.
Say, well, the captain is going to be speaking with Ensign Lee about the full scope of the problem here soon. So he would like as much information as you have sent up to him.
Of course. With the captain's permission, I'd like to visit with the patient again.
I'll pass that on.
Thank you.
And she will nod, look at the tea, and she will head out. Lieutenant Vate, how do we know that you're talking with your contact?
I think it's that I'm talking with a view screen of what looks to be a Betazoid, like temple, like a priest and Betazoid who's talking. and they're saying things, they're animated and everything, right? But like the voice that comes through is not connected to the words and it's like you can't hear the audio of the priest either. So it's simply like, that is the video that is being displayed and the encoded messages coming through, and it's like a slightly vocoded voice, perhaps, coming through.
Absolutely. And they're saying,
oh, which comes on the second I type in a code at the bottom, right? And it switches priest into the embedded message that's coming through. Yeah.
It says, Lieutenant Vate, we have been reviewing logs from the Kintsugi. We are very interested in the current situation with Ensign Adira Lee. Her encounter with the Borg is unlike others that we have on record. Please keep a close eye on that and let us know if there is anything useful. We will follow up with further instructions.
Dear Ensign Lee is an asset to the ship and to her crew. So I'll let you know if that changes.
Understood. Keep in mind that there's a bigger picture here.
I understand the bigger picture, sir. I'm asking you to take one step beyond that.
Understood.
And I think, he'll cut the communication. And, I think as he says, that guy says understood, the audio of the priest comes back and it's, so it's easy to get lost among the emotions of all the non-beta Zs out there, but you center yourself and you bring yourself into the galaxy, the center of you'll find that the spiritual center of all beta Zs is the center of all, and they just turns it off. Like, yeah.
Heard all this before.
Yeah. And looks dramatically out of the viewport window, right? Like,
absolutely. Captain Carlton, do you want to do a scene with Lee, or do you want me to move things forward otherwise, so we can come back to that? What do you feel like?
No, I'm intrigued to see Lee's opinion.
Okay.
Could I have could Faye have a quick scene with Carlton though, just before we do that?
That sounds good.
Certainly.
Yeah. Into the captain's room, the office, perhaps not long after that discussion with the medical officer. And I'll just say, Ensign Lee, there's interests further than the ship or Starfleet Medical.
I understand, but she's one of ours, Vate.
Yes. And I'm saying, as long as she's here, she's one of ours. There's not much I can do when she's in a medical facility.
Indeed. And I'd hate to lose her, but I think it's imperative that I find her opinion.
I agree, Captain. I'm just making you aware of the situation, the bigger picture.
Noted, Vate. You're in touch with
my friends,
the lower ranked officers. What's the opinion of the troops? Has it spooked them, or are they rallying around her?
Well, Faga says that everyone's happy. She seems to be recovering. They're worried about her. No one. There was that one guy who made a joke about the Borg, and Tvalik broke his hand.
Well, those things happen, but we don't want anything getting out of hand. No, it's good to know that the crew are behind her. So really, the only thing we need to do is gauge her opinion, and that will guide my decision.
Captain, permission to speak frankly?
Of course.
My personal recommendation that if we want Lee to get the best treatment, she remains with the Kintsugi, where we can ensure that treatment is a priority.
True, but as you well know, I've got a medical background, and the facilities on offer at a proper medical facility far outweighs what the Kintsugi can bring to bear.
Depends on whether the people using those facilities are interested in curing her or studying her, sir.
Noted. I'll put that in my personal log. Your observations. Thank you, Vade.
If you could keep my name out of it, sir.
I'm sure those logs can't be accessed. They're personal.
Sure. Sure thing, sir. He says with a smile as he steps out of the room, like, lesson.
Let's actually cut to like a meeting at Med Bay with the captain, with Lee. Maybe Ward has been called as someone who's close to Lee. We've got the doctor there, and Meru. Is that okay? And I think that Will, you could do Lee. Maybe a little surprised that so many people are here. You called in, you can tell.
Yes, I will be 1 second back, but I can hear you. So I'll be right back.
Okay, well, hold on a sec there. Then I can have a slug of water. Then. Is the petty officer uniform any different, you think, Jaro? Or is it classic Star Trek? Is it different pin? I can't remember.
I don't know.
The skirt?
What's that?
Is it the skirt?
No. No. Thankfully, after season 2, they upgraded all their uniforms. No, I think it's just, a more stripped down version.
Yeah. Okay. So Lee, you've been brought in. It's a little unusual to have these people there. That Ward's been asked along. You see Marrow, who you worked with. The doctor is there, and the captain is there.
Is this have I done something wrong?
Of course not, Lee. Of course not. We just need to talk over a few things with you. Please take a seat.
Okay, but it kind of looks like a court-martial.
Oh no, they're a lot different from this, and hopefully you never get to see them. We're here because, may I be frank?
Of course, sir. You're the captain.
Excellent. We value your opinion, but we are slightly concerned with the Borg nanite infection that you suffered. The good doctor and his medical team, as I gesture the doctor and Maru, haven't been totally able to cure it, and they are slightly concerned. Now, Starfleet has offered to move you to a medical facility for some better treatment, but I'm reasonably confident in the team we've got here, that they know you, they know this infection, and all they need is a bit of time and some good science.
I look over at Maru and the medical doctor, Swan, and I say, will I be able to keep serving on the ship?
As long as the doctor says you can, I don't see a problem with that at all. And you've given me no concern so far. So let's play it that way.
I said before to you that this is a very different infection than we had on record before. And we have been, through the treatment, been able to arrest it significantly. But there is still ongoing cellular degradation that we're worried about. It's slow, and we're looking at other ways to slow it. That's why I asked Officer Meru to look into this, and you can tell he wants to say more. Like maybe his opinion is you should be set off the ship because he recognizes what it is, but he kind of turns to Meru to.
So Meru bites back her straight, honest tongue and says, "Ensign Lee, there's a great opportunity to help you overcome this challenge and to further the research of the science, but it is with your permission that we would invite you to this challenge."
I mean, you can be straight with me, Mero. You know,
So there's this
isn't the right time to develop some manners.
So Mara gets this almost giddiness in her eyes, they kind of sort of, she says, "I would be honored to work with you to develop a serum science that hasn't even been discovered yet. We don't know the risks, but I think that we could discover something amazing together."
Well, that's the pitch for me being a guinea pig, I guess.
And Mara can't help but she's her little Cardassian shark teeth are showing. She's just so yes, say yes to me, please.
Yeah, Lee sort of stares at you for a few moments and then turns very slightly to look at Ward like, "Is this for real?"
I mean, I presume I'm here to give an opinion and not as some kind of window dressing or an arm for Adira to lean on.
I mean,
because I've seen less horse hockey at the start line of the Kentucky Derby.
Hey,
she's not a science experiment for you to pad out your CV.
I mean, hey, Ward, look. Maybe I can be both things, all right? But Captain, with your permission, I'd like to stay in Starfleet on active duty for as long as I can. If it helps, whatever happens, if we help advance the boundaries of science, at least I know that it's my crew looking after me. And, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
No problem, Lee. Totally understood. I like a fighter. We like a fighter. The Federation likes a fighter. And God damn it, you're a fighter. So stay with us. Stay in for the big win. And we'll get you over that finishing line. The best we can. Carry on, Ensign.
Captain to the bridge.
Excuse me, ladies, gents. I'm needed elsewhere.
And I think we do kind of cut from that scene. There's a little bit of silence there, kind of hangs there for a second, but we're going to cut to the scene with Captain Carlton and Ward, probably coming to change helm shift, heading up to the bridge. Ward, do you say anything to the captain while you're in the what is it? Not the elevator, the turbo lift. Thank you. Wow. In the turbo lift going up to the bridge.
I think we see Ward, almost start a couple of times. And then on the third time, I'll say, Captain, I realize that the Kintsugi is proof that manpower is at a premium now in the Federation, but really, are we putting our people's lives at risk for minimal, indeed suboptimal gain in terms of healing and intelligence on the board?
Fair point, Ward. But you well know I come from a medical background, and somebody's will to fight something goes a hell of a long way than somebody that just lies down and accepts it. Lee's a fighter, and she fights best here.
Stirring word, sir. And I stare at the counter, but obviously not buying it.
Nice. So, Captain, on the bridge, again, that slightly darker colors. Ward will see you go over and take your helm position, and we will see this Star Trek subspace relay station. We've seen them a couple of times in Next Generation. They are long-term manned stations that have usually a 2 to 3 person crew on them, and they're both kind of a detection and a relay boost for subspace here. And I think we can see even on screen that the lights are dim on the station. There's no damage to the station, like external damage at all. But it's definitely from here you can see that it is like on minimal power. And Ensign Fargo will say, Captain, the relay seems to be operating at minimal capacity. However, we're still getting subspace interference in the area. There's something else happening here.
Science team, look into that subspace interference. Fargo, continue to hail the subspace relay. I want to speak to those people on the inside. Ward, bring us into a close orbit.
Into a close orbit, aye, sir.
So Ward, we'll bring it up close. I don't think there's necessarily a roll for it, but I'm going to make you do the roll because it's a chance to generate momentum. And we kind of start out with that. So I'm going to swap over the character sheet. I'm going to put my threat pool back up to 8. So this is just difficulty 1 to get in a good position that gets you a good view of the ship, stationary orbit within close transporter distance.
Am I going to be
precision? Yes.
Precision.
Yes. This is close to maneuvering. Yeah.
Okay. So difficulty 0. I guess so. Everything will be gravy, unless I roll 20s, right?
Unless you roll 20s, the complications are for me.
Yeah, if only. So that is 2 successes.
2 successes. So we'll add 2 to the pool, unless you want to do something with those.
No, I will. I'll keep to the steering. If someone else maybe wants to ask a question, that becomes apparent as we come in close.
Okay. Let's go to Maru. Maru, they've called down to the science lab. They've told you there's this subspace going on. Let's have you and again, we're using the ship sensors. So again, when you're on the ship for something like this, you get an extra D20 from the ship.
All right, so let me get...
and the ship's sensors rating is an 11. So it's an 11 plus your science.
Okay. Let's get my character up here. All right. So let's go with reason. Or would
Well, it'll be
control
the ship
better?
sensors, which will be an 11.
Okay. So,
Plus your science. So it's a 15. Do you have anything about subspace?
oh gosh, I don't think I
don't
do.
think so. So that's
Let me
just going to
see.
be a straight 15 right now.
Would computers help at all or not?
No, I think computers are more for programming or
Okay.
restructuring, that kind of thing, pulling data from a
Okay.
computer.
Okay.
But you're rolling
so-
3d20 and looking
Yep.
for 15s.
All right, let's do that. I don't see anything. Let's try. Okay.
Make sure you're set to your character sheet.
Yeah, I am. Or I was. Jaro. Come on. Okay. So the will the ship roll automatically, or do I need to roll?
No, what you'll
something?
do is you have a stat that's an 11, right?
Yeah, I'm just
So,
going to use that.
Yeah, use
Yep.
that.
Okay, let's go. There we go. I got 2 successes.
2 successes. So I'm going to give you basic information, and then you've got a momentum to spend. You can tell that the subspace relay is in operation, but there is some large scale subspace disruption going on in this region, and it is blocking communications in the area. Then, and it's very, it's not confined to just around this station.
Sure. Does my science officer give me an additional momentum, or was that counted already?
Oh, I think that's fair. So yeah, so you've got 2 momentum then for asking follow-up questions or throwing back in the pool.
Yeah. I think the main question is what's the source of this issue?
I think you
If we
can
can-
see that there definitely is like something has happened here, and maybe it's something that moved past that has caused this, and maybe inbound towards the system, because this is like essentially like a station at like Pluto orbit of the station of the system it's at, because you can tell that there's a little bit less of the subspace disruption, this direction versus heavier that way.
Is it possible to launch a probe to monitor the situation?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to spend the other momentum to do that?
Yeah,
Have a
I
probe
think-
out there?
Yeah, because we don't know we're really flying blind to this specific incident. So yeah, gonna
Okay.
do that, and then put the other one in the pool, I guess.
So if you can just, I think the probe is free. That makes sense. Yeah. So,
okay.
yeah, you asked your question. So put a momentum in the pool. Then let's we talk to our communications officer, and she will say, "I'm not getting any reply from the station captain."
Veit to Shuttle Bay. Doctor, send one of your team to Shuttle Bay. We're going to go see what's going on over that subspace relay. Ward, ready to join us?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Number 1, I'll leave the ship in your hands.
By your
We'll get
command.
the shuttle, and we're going to see what's going on over there.
And so we'll see the we've got the nice effect for the shuttle going over to the station, and then we'll cut inside to the set that is the subspace relay set. And if you see Next Generation, they're all kind of slightly repurposed versions of this, maybe a little bit higher tech. We could have some more budget, but the lights are dim in here, and we'll see that door open from where the shuttlecraft is connected, and we will see the group come in. Vate, what's your posture here?
I was going to ask, can I have a phaser rifle?
Okay.
Yeah. A phaser rifle, and I think dressed in the sort of Starfleet spacesuit, with the helmet down, basically. As I take the first, as I lead the way into the, I'm going to be first through the door, basically.
You will come in, and you will look, and we kind of move into the main area, and everything's kind of at those dim screens and stuff, and we will see two people in Federation uniforms. One of them is draped over like a railing, and the other one is at one of the exit doors, like kind of collapsed down, like maybe they were trying to do something there.
They they seem unconscious, right? So I wouldn't be sensing their emotions at this point.
They seem dead.
Seem dead. Vade's gonna creep forward with the rifle, and he's gonna hand signal back to the thing, and as the rest of the crew disembarks, he's gonna cover it and say, take up a post by the door, and say, like, whatever happened here, I don't think there's any crew there. I don't know if there's any survivors, Captain. We should be careful.
Finding a survivor is our highest priority, babe. What do our records show is the manning?
Two personnel. It looks like both the personnel here are accounted for.
Oh, then yeah.
Okay. Vate and Ward, do a sweep of here, can you? Sweep the building just in case there's somebody else still here. Maru, those bodies, I want to know what killed them. Get on that, please.
Hi, Captain.
Captain, what do you want to start with?
Let's have a bit of Ward and Vate.
Okay.
Can I make a small request, which is just flavor, really, just to have Lee be the background security officer who's sort of like standing with a ship in the background scene, sort of, just so that we see her in this episode doing more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. She stood with a rifle by the shuttle, basically.
So it seems like you two are trying to, like, look at this ship, figure out what's happened to it, that kind of thing, check if there's anybody else here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So who wants to lead that, and who wants to assist of the two of you?
Seems like Vate's bag, so I'll assist.
Okay.
I'll cover you.
So probably security, just because it's
Yeah.
that kind of thing. What do you think is the appropriate attribute?
I think it's probably reason, to be fair. And I think some of this depends upon what I might find, but I'd do have a very useful rare psychic talent, right? That might be particularly useful in this situation.
Absolutely.
You are also searching the place.
Yes, yeah. It's as we go, right? Like,
yeah.
And you are trained in
rescue is the word.
Search and rescue. Yes, search and rescue. Yeah.
So here's what we'll do is right now we're going to read that as a 13-5. Mm-hmm. You've got a specialty that applies, and if you want, afterwards you can essentially give me a threat if you want to, spend a momentum to gain information from psychometry. But so let's have you roll that. Ensign Ward, Lieutenant Ward, I apologize, I misspoke there. If you could roll a d20 with reason and security.
Hit it with a 5, so 1 extra success for Vate.
Okay.
And just 1 success for me.
2?
Mhm.
Okay. So as you move through here, I think what will become apparent is that at some point not too long ago, the power went out completely here. The batteries are drained, the backups are drained, and like couldn't get doors open or anything like that. And that seems to be like the big thing that has occurred here. Do you want to try to get a better psychometric piece of information with this?
Yeah. And it's wherever it was dramatically most appropriate for me to linger over and place a palm against and close my eyes, right? Perhaps my other hand drifting down to the knife at my belt.
And I think we'll do that. Obtain impression. I think you'll see the scene. You see them talking about the fact that there seems to be disturbances in subspace, that there seemed to be something going on there. And then we're picking up something on sensors here. It's huge. And then them panicking because suddenly the power goes out. And they're trying to get the doors open to get at any kind of atmospheric gear. The temperature is dropping rapidly. All of that, and I think you probably pull your hand away because if you stay too long, you're going to be there when they go.
Yeah. Maybe I was touching the emergency panel, right, that they were clawing at as they tried to open it. And I'm imagining that, this being a TV show, rather than shoot the whole scene, what Vate's just holding it and you're hearing that exchange, right? The dialogue going backwards and forwards, and then there were no intruders. They lost something, took out the power and all the emergency backups and life support.
So they suffocated slowly in the time it took for us to get here?
They froze.
They froze.
Everything, the station just completely shut down. All of the redundancies seem to have been wiped.
Perhaps we can give a heads up to the Kintsugi. Stay frosty, if you will.
Officer Meru, certainly you can confirm based on that information, a cursory check will confirm that they died from essentially from exposure and suffocation. Here, I think that's easy enough for you to tell. And in terms of timing, this is probably 7 or 8 hours ago that happened. So kind of fits up with the timeline that you know about the subspace relays, the disturbance and all of that.
Have there been any developments from the probe that would give us, a line on what we're looking at here or what we could do to prevent a similar thing from happening to our ship?
Absolutely. Because you've sent the probe into the system, the L536. There is no system L536. There is just rubble and debris. Let's take our first break. We'll take 10 minutes and then we'll come back. So I think we come back from the commercial break and we see everybody look at the view screen and we see, the like rubble and asteroid bits there on the view screen. We can see the star for L 536, is it? Yeah, 536. And you know, it's just that rubble. Captain, let's start with you. What's your reaction when that probe comes back with that? And
Somebody tell me how many people lived in this system.
Maro like just reads it out.
Okay. This is a non-populated system. Essentially, certainly for intelligent life forms, it probably had biosystems and things like that on some of the planets, but otherwise there were no colonies or anything on planets in this system.
Well, that's something, Maru. At least no lives were lost, apart from these two guys here.
This strikes me as a test.
Tell you what, hop on those computers, try and get all information you can, so we can find out what their sensors detected before they went dead. Try and get a bearing on what we're up against.
Will do, Captain.
So let's start with Marrow, and then let's kind of make our way around with Ward, and then Vader Lee, and so on. So Marrow, you are trying to pull up information from Starfleet databanks.
I think Marrow is just, as well as like we're coordinating with anyone else that we might have friendly contacts with.
Unfortunately, you have no communications. You barely have communications to that probe. The subspace has completely disrupted that. You can't even report into the Federation about what's happened here.
Okay, so we probably have, this is my guess, we probably have like other procedures for when communications go down.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get those going. And then I think what Marrow's going to do is Marrow's going to want to, God, I'm blanking, but basically try to find a way to bypass the subspace network.
Like, really, the thing that,
like,
that connects the Federation up.
Like is going to come up with some crazy wonky Starfleet science.
Okay. So we're going to start with that then. Let's start with the ability to try and communicate. So let's do that. That feels like a longer term project.
Oh yeah.
So let me grab up those mechanics here.
I mean, we're going to probably use like gravitational waves or something to bounce this off of. Extended task.
Yeah. There we go. That is the problem with terminology.
I mean, all of our cognitive power have shunted into the technobabble sphere away from normal.
Yes.
There's probably like a flurry of like, see-through science boards and people talking and throwing out ideas.
Okay.
There's a good mind palace when you need one.
I mean, yeah. I rent mine. It's
so I think this is a 4 for extended task, because we're talking about something like pretty big. Actually, let's take it down to 3, because it would have been a 4 or 5 like with original series, but I think you probably got some more text. So let's take it down to a 3.
Okay.
So I think it's magnitude 3, difficulty 2. So what do you want to roll?
Well, let me ask you this. Is it feasible to use, like just what was referenced, the mental repository based on some like ancient text of some alien civilizations or something like that?
Task. Take 2 intervals during a time challenge. Yeah, so if you want to spend this first bit here doing the meditation on it, we can lower that difficulty and resolve that. So like we see you again with that meditation, doing that preparation, so you can try and make contact. Lieutenant Ward, you know that Officer Marrow is trying a longer term solution to get some communications back with Starfleet.
Right now, I think I am trying to ascertain if this thing was going in a certain direction. So
That feels like
is there
astro navigation.
Yeah. So to see if there's like a wake in the remains of the system or something like that.
Sure. What do you want to roll that with?
Is that reason or insight? And
actually, it'd probably be we'll use the ship's sensors.
Okay.
So that's an 11, and then engineering or science feels like, or even con, because it is about piloting.
Okay.
So that'd be a 15/4.
Okay. Let me roll that. That is 1 success.
1 success. Are you happy with 1 success, or do you want to spend a determination?
Difficulty is 2, is it?
Difficulty is 2 here.
Okay. You know what? I will fulfill my wish from last week and spend the determination early.
Absolutely. I know. I knew you were getting there. I looked over the wishes. So
yeah.
So you keep one of the successes.
Yeah.
And you can just re-roll the other die.
I just re-roll the other one. So that comes up at 12. So that is a 2nd success.
So you can tell that there is a wake. It's very hard to determine because this subspace disruption field is wide-ranging. But there definitely is track. It definitely goes through this system. And you can kind of vaguely plot out a path for it. And it continues on. And it has moved past L536, and based on the course that you've got, it's heading over to the next system, L589, which has a large Beta Z colony on it.
And based on the timing of our loss of signal here and the wake, can we make some estimate on the time?
It will hit that system based on this in the next couple of hours.
Okay, well, I will holler for the rest of the command staff based on that assessment.
Lieutenant Vate, what are you doing?
I don't think there's anything more on the station, on the subspace relay I want to do. I think it's all good, frankly.
Okay.
I think as soon as I hear Ward, as Ward lays out the situation, right? There's a couple of hours to save this Beta Z colony. Vate's gonna recommend that we just leave the shuttle. We don't waste the time that it would take 5 to beam up. Let's get back on board the Kintsugi. We've got to go.
Captain Carlton?
Always take a minute and think about things, mate. Always take a minute and think about things. Okay, what do we got to do here? We've got to see if we can deflect whatever this thing is before it hits that Beta Z colony. There's no point running to the Beta Z colony. We wouldn't get everybody off. Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh.
You're 10,000 people on the Beta Z colony.
We ain't. I take it. meta talking, there's no way we're going to get those people off.
Right. Right now, whatever this is partway between this system and that next system that it's heading towards.
Okay, Vate, we need to find out a way to deflect this thing somehow. What affects it? Gravity, something like that. We need to pull it off course because we're not going to move whatever the colony's on, planet, asteroid, whatever. So we've got to look at a way of deflecting it.
Yeah. Right now you have no long range sensors. You have no long range communications. You have no idea what it is.
That's what we need to find out.
Can we move to red alert, sir?
No, the ship's not under threat. There's no point getting people out of their bunks for no good reason. Imminent threat is what we're looking for. If this thing turns around and bites us in the ass, so be it. I'll take that on the chin. Okay, but I do like your idea of getting back quickly. Although I do hate to lose the shuttlecraft. Yeah, Maru, whatever you're doing here, it's going to have to hold. We're going to get back to the ship.
You call for beam up, Captain Carlton?
Yep. Beam us up, Kintsugi.
All right. Give yourself a point of determination. And I think that when you do that, Captain, you go 60 beam up. I think the transport officer goes yes, Captain. Like clearly wasn't expecting that.
And I will be eyeballing Vate as we're beaming. If I lose my other arm or something freaking happens to me, that's it. I'm having yours.
Yeah, I don't think we have a complication there, but I'm going to spend a threat pool that we do get that scene of the transport officer starting to bring the transporter in, but there's so much subspace interference that they're playing around with it, and there is that it comes in and then goes out and comes in and goes out, and I have to increase the power to the buffer that we're losing pattern recognition, and then the team will appear there on the transporter pad.
And I think I will check myself, I'm oil here, sort of brush myself a bit and say, good work, Transporter Chief. Assemble the command staff in my ready room for 5 minutes. Get the message out there while the rest of us take the turbo lift.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will cut to the group, all of our command staff. Ward, you're essentially, helmsman. So you're there, Lieutenant Vate. Marrow, you're probably there, but you have a data pad, kind of frantically trying to get information, I assume, or remeditate.
I think that, like, if this makes sense, I like the idea of kind of like when you get ideas in the shower, like as Marrow's going through the transport beam, like something clicks, and when they arrive, they're like, I think I have it.
Certainly, we'll do this meeting and then we'll come to the resolution of the extended task. Captain Carlton, we'll cut to everyone there in the meeting room.
Okay, team, this is how I see it. That Beta Z colony is at threat by whatever rushed through this system and caused death and destruction. Well, destruction. There was nobody here apart from those poor Starfleet guys on that subspace relay. We've got to somehow look at deflecting it. Any other ideas? And we've got to find out what it is.
Well, until we get close, I don't see how we can find out what it is. With long range sensors down.
We've got to try and dogleg it. Clearly, we can't follow its path because we'll just go right in the hindquarters of it. So we'll have to dogleg round it. Ward, you up to plotting a course as close as we can without hitting it?
As close as you can without it hitting us, I think.
True. I don't want one of those satellite incidents that we had previously. Take it real smooth, Ward. Real smooth.
Wide berth, sir. I hear you. Is there anything special about this system that would have attracted this thing, whatever it is?
Science team?
Maro, do you want to make the roll for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to do science, reason, and let's see. I might have, let's see, either computers or survey.
Survey seems right.
Okay. So you might...
Can I assist with this? It's because it's close to the neutral zone, right? So I imagine there's some Starfleet intelligence reports about this whole area.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just rolled 2d20. Is that correct? Yep. Right. Let's do that. Oh, I did not.
You got a 3? Is that? Do you have a specialty?
I do.
Or not for you? Okay, so one
success.
I'm sorry. What?
Espionage, if that's relevant.
I don't think for this.
I
So
don't.
one for you, and then how many for you, David?
He rolled a 20 and an 18 roll.
I have, if one of my focuses counts, I can roll a third die.
No, focuses give you a better range for double successes. They don't give you an extra die.
You could spend your determination for a reroll, though, David.
Yeah, I think I will do so.
Okay. What value do you want to tick for that reroll?
I think the impending doom of Betazoid plus what we just witnessed is making me really be worried about home. So I'm thinking far from home, thinking about all those people.
So roll 2d20 again.
All right, let me just do that. Roll test. I got an 8 and a 20.
Okay. So 2 successes. So David, I'll give you some basic information. I'll let Vate ask a question if Vate wants to. And then there's a complication. So these are very standard systems. They don't have anything unusual in terms of the makeup of the planets. One of the things I think you will realize, though, in scanning this, Officer Maru, is you're scanning the local system as the ship is already in movement. There is much less mass left of this system than there ought to be. Based on the scans here, whatever this did, it ate a big chunk of the planetary matter.
Okay.
Lieutenant Vate, do you have a question?
Are there any other planetary debris fields or space-borne matter? You know what I mean? Like asteroid belts kind of stuff nearby in the sector.
There is kind of on the direction that this path is going. There is, and further past the system that it's going through, there is a anomalous nebula-like a stellar feature that hasn't been surveyed, closely. That it might be heading towards that.
Plot like a line across the space map to sort of show the vague route and going straight through the Beta Z colony, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
The numbers of 10,000 people popping up alongside of it.
Absolutely. One of the things is, as you are heading forward as the ship is kind of taking off. This subspace interference is getting worse the closer you get to this thing. Well, one of the things you can do is you can launch one of your remaining probes with the information you have back to Federation space. That is standard operating procedure if you're going into a place where you're definitely going to be losing comms and you want to have a record of it.
That seems like a good thing, like a backup thing if I can't get the communication idea working.
Okay. So let's cut to Ensign Ward. Sorry, I'm gonna keep doing that. To Lieutenant Ward. You want to get there fast. You want to get ahead of it without getting like right up on it. So let's have you make that roll.
So yeah, I mean, I imagine the warning about the satellite is making me a little bit more cautious than I might otherwise have been.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe control instead of daring.
I like it.
Also, we'll come off about as badly as that satellite did in this exchange.
So control and con.
Yeah.
And this is definitely astronavigation.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
15/4.
I'm gonna take something from the mountain pool.
Okay.
And I will 3 successes.
3 successes. So I think you can calculate a way to get forward to use maybe some slingshot effect from the gravity well of this system to pick up that extra speed and take it up to warp, and you are moving the ship quickly. I think that you are kind of doing it exceptionally well, but maybe a little bit of redlining it a little bit. So you have 1 extra momentum.
And I rolled an extra 1 from my untapped potential.
Okay. So put 2 back if you want.
Yeah. I'm going to put all that in the pool for when things get really dangerous.
Meru, let's have you roll the first round of this thing. What do you want to roll with?
You mean for the communications thing?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think I want to do something other than just keep throwing reason at stuff.
Sure.
So I think I want to roll daring for this.
Sure.
Because it's a crazy idea, and I'm gonna put this is the theory that Maro's operating under.
Okay.
Basically piercing the fabric of reality is the attempt. So yeah, I'm gonna do daring and come over here, mouse. All right.
Daring and science?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
then
that's 13s.
Yeah. Let's see. I think I've got something else I want to use, if I may. Let's see. I think scrappy resourcefulness, unless it's bad to spend more than 1 determination.
So you only had 1 determination at the start.
Oh, okay.
So
let me put that down to 0 then.
Yeah.
There we go. Never mind then. All right. So we'll give that a go and we'll see what happens.
All right. Let's have you roll.
I got a 4 and a 14.
Okay. So that is with daring and science. So you've got 1 success. So go ahead and roll me 4 challenge dice.
Okay. Let's do this. And then I also have... All right, let's give that a go. I have no idea how to read that.
Okay, I will take a look at it. So that is 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 1 of the 3 breakthroughs that you need to do this. Okay. and essentially the time interval happens. And essentially that's effectively 5 points of damage, and every 5 is like a breakthrough. So we see the montage of you working out, like, what does that look like on screen?
Yeah. So I think it's basically scrambling, like taking parts of the ship, part of the lab, and repurposing it, and then like also like using the relay system, and just like banking this shot of neutrino energy, try to pierce the sector of space to get it to the closest Starfleet receiver.
Okay. Captain Carlton, what are you doing? The ship is underway. What are you working on? What are you investigating? What are you preparing? What do you think?
Let's start by adding 3 to the momentum pool with my captain talent.
Okay, so that'll take you up to 6, right?
Yep.
Which is the cap.
Yep. Oh, we were only on 3 anyway, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not wasted then.
No.
So that'll knock me down to 1 determination. But let us roll that single challenge dice.
Let's see if it just lucky back. About it before.
No, not today.
No.
Oh well, still got 1.
So what are you doing then? You're speaking to the crew. You're pushing them along. You're getting that momentum into the pool. What are you doing?
We've given the team what they need to do. Tell you what, I'm going to go check. I'm going to go down to the. I'm going to go down to the bar area and check on the troops.
Okay. I think, like, who's down there that that you haven't had a scene with that you want to have a scene with?
Farga, because that's my other character, and I can just talk to myself.
No,
that would be quite interesting. No. Let's have who just accompanied us, and who I am concerned about, Ensign Lee.
Okay. So Lee, you've come back, transported back. The ship hasn't gone to yellow or red alert. So people have their duty rotation. And this is maybe the first break you've gotten since you had that weird incident in Med Bay. And as you're sitting there, you see the captain come in.
Captain.
Lee, do you mind if I pull up a stool?
No. Yeah, feel free, sir. I click my fingers at the
EVH.
The EVH. Yeah, we should have. And I go, EB. I hear you like Romulan brandy. I don't think EB knows how to make that, though.
No, and the synthetic stuff that replicators make never seems to be the same. And I am on duty. Tell you what, hit us up with a non-alcoholic beer. They're EVH. So, what do you think then, Lee?
I can't help but think about, when it happened. So the Borg incident, the Starfleet intelligence, Black Ops mission, all the damage to the disruption to the subspace field.
That's an insightful point. Maybe this is related to that. Do you think so?
I don't know, sir, but I'm just worried that whatever it is, we're not going to have the firepower to deal with it.
True, but that's an insightful point, and I'll definitely put it to the science team that it could be one and the same. That's why it's always good to ask around. You can write this in your notebook.
Thanks, sir. I'll make sure to include it in my personal log. Along with
feel free, Lee.
Mary's plans that she told me about. She looks some.
Well, feel free to contact me at any stage if you've got something on your mind, Lee. I'm always willing to listen to a good person with fresh ideas, different insight, and definitely what you've said there is important and it's worth considering.
We will just salute with the beer bottle.
I think I'll drain about half the beer and then slide it to the EBH and say, anyway, Lee, must be back to Judy. Yeah, and I would like to get the science team on that point that Lee came up with. I think that's a valid point. Yeah.
All
so
right.
Is there any correlation? Have we got some other sciencey people? I don't think we. Oh yeah, we've got our science come security man, haven't we?
Tvilic?
Tvilic.
Sure. Let us bring them on. Let's look at Tvilic's sheet there. Look at the ship. So let's say a reason plus science for Tvilic. So somebody roll me 2d20.
Who was on that mission with him? Who was on the mission?
That was Alan. That it was Astrid Ward and Tvilic, and Alan ran Tvilic.
Okay. Well, I think Ward could assist here then. Yeah.
Ward is piloting the ship, so I think that is probably not likely.
Okay, well, if we don't have anybody to assist, I was just going to draw in somebody that was on it.
Just roll my 2d20.
Yeah, why don't you roll it, Paul?
Okay.
Captain gives to Tvilic.
Will it roll just? How do you get it to roll without? Oh yeah.
Figure out what a combination would be 14 of your stats and just roll that.
Okay, yeah. That should be possible. 14. Here we go. Easy peasy.
So one success.
One success.
I don't think, while there is subspace disruption, the thing that you all dealt with that incident was actual like permanent damage to the subspace. This is a wide-ranging disruption to it, rather than actually damaging that. So it doesn't indicate like any of those that weaponry doesn't indicate any kind of Borg stuff there. It seems to be something else. Does that seem like a fair answer?
It does, and I didn't really get an extra question, but I would like to put the science or medical team on it. Will this subspace thing affect Lee in any way?
That's a good question. We'll have to see about that, won't we?
Let's get I'll send them a message,
right.
Whatever the in-ship messaging system is saying. There we go. Get on it.
I'll put that right here next to the next time they roll a 20 thing right over here. Okay. Lieutenant Vate, what are you up to? Ward is piloting. The captain is, working with the crew. Meru is doing this science project. What are you working on?
I think that Vate is very, very concerned. Something destroyed an entire planet. 10,000 betazoids out there that need the Kintsugi to stop whatever's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering what the best sort of advantage would be to create there. Something technical. I think though that fictionally, perhaps the best thing that I could create would be like so maybe some representation of like the crew, preparing them, telling them, like informing them of like, that look, I need everybody to pull out there. We're Starfleet. We save lives. Something terrible is about to happen.
Sure.
If we don't stop it.
So a trait for crew focus, feels like.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to roll that with?
I think that has to be presence, I think. Power
Okay.
of personality. And it sounds like command to me. So that is a
Absolutely.
12. And I will spend the
You've got like 6 momentum, so
yeah, exactly. I'm going to spend one. No, I've got the wrong one. There we go. Reason, and let's reset my dice. There we go. Well, there's a complication just for you.
so you've got one critical, and then what was the total? But now you needed
no, one critical. That's all I've got.
Okay, so 2 successes. So that's enough to carry a trait.
Yeah.
Okay. But I do think we get a shot as you are moving through this subspace disruption field. I think we do get a shot of Lee like in her quarters, and she stumbles and holds her head to her temple and kind of does this thing. And we see the room kind of spin for a bit, and then she refocuses herself.
Yeah. Perhaps as Vate's voice comes over the comms, preparing the crew for, I want everyone to be ready,
Absolutely. You will, we get the glamour shot of the ship, and we see the ship coming up. We see the shot of the ship, and we see you approaching. And Captain, you're in the captain's chair. Donna, you're doing the piloting, and we'll see, our communications officer will essentially say, we picked something up. Pick something up up ahead, Captain. You're muted, but I assume you said on screen.
Yeah, put it on screen, Fargo.
Putting it on screen, sir. That's what you see. It is several miles long, maybe longer. It's difficult to tell scale at the thing with the sensors in the disarray that they are. It is massive. And I think you're close enough that you can tell that the outer hull of this thing is made of neutronium. Massive hard metal thing, and it is just pushing along. And I'd like to kind of do a cut from that to the officers all in the briefing room with who do you think is with one of the cetaceans, the dolphins, is giving a presentation, and it will say, we don't have a name for this thing, but they've called it a doomsday machine. It destabilizes subspace, and it has a general energy dampening field. It destroys planets with a pure anti-proton beam. It swallows them up and uses them to fuel itself. The hull is neutronium. When the Federation last contacted it, they were unable to puncture the hull at all. It also has a tractor beam and will pull in ships. This is not the same one as we fought before. There are definitely structural differences. This one is larger. But this is the ship that destroyed the Constellation, NCC 1017. The Enterprise dealt with it, and they were only able to stop it when they rammed what was left of the Constellation down its throat and set the engines to explode. That's what we have on it, sir.
Vate, I'd like you to comb over those after-action reports and get us some kind of edge based on previous data.
Well, sir, one solution has presented itself already, but I'll keep looking for another.
Indeed. Indeed, we don't really want to go down that path if we can help it. Yeah. We'll always bear that in mind. The ultimate sacrifice may need to be paid. Quick meta thing, can our ship separate? Lol. I think all Federation ships can.
Oh, well, no, that's not. Let's look. That you are a Challenger class, right?
Yep.
If Alan were here, we could get this question answered immediately because he went on it. Let's see. Do we know anything about his saucer section?
I think that is a trait of near enough every Federation ship. That's why they have the saucer. I know you didn't see it in the original series, but I know the original Constitution class could separate.
I will have to check in the book, but let's for the moment, I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Viable option. But anyway, I mean, do you want to try and create some sort of thing there, Vate?
I look over those after action reports. I think that after action. Well, what do we know about where we don't know. The Federation doesn't know where this doomsday machine comes from, do they?
No.
So,
but
no.
I think if you trace this back, like you can see this actually came out of the neutral zone, came out of Romulan space.
Romulan space. Ooh. So I have that talent, right? The intelligence agent. Once per adventure, I may create an advantage without requiring a task or spending any momentum, etc. And it reflects information. So since it came out of the neutral zone, in my encrypted, Romulan interceptions or something, could I perhaps get any information on what intercepted Romulan intel might reveal about their knowledge of the doomsday machines?
So, here's what I'll give you. Because he does, a download of the latest intel report, and one of the things you'll pick up in sort of the reports of intercepted Romulan communications is apparently there was some kind of incident at a Romulan system. And apparently they lost contact with a Romulan colony that is on the Romulan side of the neutral zone on the border. They dispatched 2 Romulan warbirds to investigate. And they confirmed that one of them was destroyed and they lost contact with the other. And apparently, Romulan High Command is trying to figure out what's going on. But if you kind of trace it back, it looks like it came through the Romulan space, destroyed a system there, and kept heading this direction. Does that seem like fair info?
That seems like good info. I tell the captain that 2 Romulan warbirds weren't able to stop this thing. So.
Good info, Ward.
It does mean that we don't have to, whatever the Romulans think about this, we don't have to worry about them. I think they'll be on our side if they show up.
Yeah, possibly.
Well, as much as can be said of the Romulans.
So one ship was destroyed and the other one, they don't know where it is.
Recommend we expand the usual range of the sensors, so keep an eye out for any trace of a cloaked ship.
Good point. I was hoping it was stuck in this thing's teeth. Just stuck there. But That'd be too lucky.
We
Okay.
might have to come closer.
And I think I'll comms Ward and say, not immediately Ward, but start reading up about ship separation. It may be called for.
Cap. Oh, go ahead.
I have the manual here, sir. Can I maybe ask if we could think about using a warp, an aft warp field distortion to distract or turn this thing away from its course?
Yep, that's a good idea. Maybe some interaction with that nebula. So the Doomsday device, does it just rely on armor, or does it have shields?
It apparently has some basic shielding, but it's mostly the neutronium armor that is just highly impenetrable.
Let's call it the Vate Nebula. If we go in there,
We're not calling it the Vate Nebula because there is a reason for that.
Oh, okay. Well, if we go into that nebula, where this thing is heading for that nebula, isn't it? All shields are rendered useless, so that could give us an advantage. That will lower whatever protection its shields are offering. It'll take them offline.
It's the whole cell, though, isn't it? The shields will be even greater disadvantage. Well, it's made out of neutronium.
True, but we might not have to go into the nebula. If it's in there, we could maybe launch something at it. It's something we need to consider anyway.
Captain, I have a bad suggestion.
I want good suggestions, Mary, not bad suggestions. I can come up with them myself.
Well, my good suggestion would be to launch a science project into the heart of this ship. And I'm thinking of the Borg science project.
Let me get it straight. You want to infect it with the samples we've got. Is that what you're saying?
I want to destabilize it so that we can destroy it.
It's worth a shot. Let's start increasing production of those, start replicating those Borg nanites.
I'm very excited about this planet. I'm proud to be part of it.
If we can contain them within a stabilized subspace field, we could put that in a photon torpedo and launch it into the mouth of this thing.
Yeah, the challenge is going to be that's a big fusion engine inside there, destroying matter and converting it to energy. But let's kind of break from that, and let's kind of come in and check with. Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Lieutenant Vate, no danger. So let's, Meru, are you continuing on with your work on getting through for subspace communications, or are you switching tack?
I think we have that backup communications probe thing. Right. So I think I'm going to pause the communications thing for now and switch over to this task.
Okay. Are you launching the communications buoy to alert Starfleet?
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Okay. So I think we'll see essentially all of the ship's logs get copied out. All of that gets set, and we'll see you launch that probe. It'll be a while before they get it, but if you all die, you will know why.
Did you say buoy or did you say buoy?
Lowell's going native here.
Bowie.
I think
You said boy, yeah.
Did I?
You said boy.
I don't know.
We're
I'm from
rubbing off on
Indiana,
you. Yeah.
so. But yeah, too much of your Brits. I put an extra U in there like you guys do.
Don't I don't want my Canadian accent to come up.
So this, you want to try and weaponize these Borg nanites.
Yeah, because it's the season finale, right?
That's certainly a thing. I think this is still a difficult extended task. So what do you want to roll this with?
Okay, let's see. I'm going to go with science, and I'm going to do control.
Okay.
Because
I'm going to assist because I've got a medical
Awesome.
background.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I think I'm just rolling those two. Let's make it. I got a 3 and an 8, both
Two successes. And then
I got a
Captain?
9.
Okay. So do me a favor then and roll 6 challenge dice, Jaro.
Okay. All right. And then let me delete those. 5, 6. Roll those dice. Okay. I got 2 stars and or 3 stars and
1,
3
2,
twos.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1 breakthrough and good distance on the next one. What are you up to, Ward? As you approach, are you scanning? Are you trying to calculate distance? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I am maybe trying to calculate like a safe distance that I could do this aft warp drive maneuver with. But I mean, maybe there's like a moment where we're ordered to launch the signal buoy, which is something usually you do when you're in imminent peril of destruction, right? So there's been like maybe a transfer of personal logs and like letters to home from some of us who are up on bridge, because that's what you do if you have the chance. Before I put the ship like right in this thing's path.
Absolutely. I think as you are coming up on this and kind of scanning for the warp fields and coming closer, trying to stay out of its range, but trying to get the visual on it, I think you've got a shot of the previous Doomsday machine, and you'll see this one. It's definitely larger, but I think as you're seeing that on the visuals, you will see it's not completely rocky on the surface. You'll see that there seems to be some like geometrics on a portion of it. And I think that as you kind of are doing that, you'll kind of zoom in and you will see that there are structures on the surface of this. Not a big set of them, but there are a set of structures there. And I think that's the time that we have our person who's on science station go, Captain, we're picking up life signs on the surface of the weapon. Let's take our second break. 5 minutes and we'll be back. So, Vade, I think this is maybe your department here doing like the sensor sweep, the scan, trying to get more information. Does that seem fair?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm cooking something and there are spices in the air, so I may cough a couple of times.
Okay, sure. It's like when I make salsa. Yeah.
Yeah. It is Mexican spicy chicken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. surprisingly filling the air with peppers. Sorry, I just have to load up the dice roller because I changed positions.
Change machines.
I'm going to change back because apparently, if I forgot that it's installed upon the browser, I think, rather than the Google Sheets itself.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Oh, is it? That's interesting.
Yeah, I can't see. Oh no, it's just loaded up. I think it's just.
Oh,
because
it may have taken a second.
Yeah.
So ship sensors are 11.
Mm-hmm.
And security.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay.
So that is a 16.
Do you want to spend a momentum?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay.
So that's 3 dice. Is that right?
3 dice.
Yeah. 2, 12, 7. 3 successes.
Okay. So what you'll be able to detect, I'll give you the basic information and a couple of follow-ups if you want to spend. There is some very primitive, like semi-built structures on the surface in this one area. You can tell it's kind of below the shielding that's around it. But I think you could tell that, like, based on what you're seeing in terms of entrances and stuff, that there's a deeper thing. Like there is actual, like, go inside the hull of this thing. And you would say you're picking up, like, kind of doing a bounce on these things. They're about 1,000 life forms. You have 2 additional questions if you want to spend momentum to ask.
Would we be able to beam down there or shuttle across?
Shuttle across, yes. Given the subspace disruption and the shielding, it doesn't seem like transporting would be possible, but you could take the other shuttle, since you have one that's back at this base. But you could take the other one in, and the nature of the field is such that something like that could get through, probably.
Yeah. Just hope that it doesn't draw the attention of the device and it retaliates in the same way.
Exactly. You'd have to do a precise flying to present yourself as not a threat to be able to get in.
Okay.
One more question.
Out of the structures down there, the thing inside, like the structures beneath that I can sort of detect with the thing, right? Is there any like hub of energy or activity within there?
Yeah, definitely. Like you're definitely picking up that there's some things inside of there that it's more like it's a very unusual.
Okay. I think that's all my questions, right, at this point?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, there's a way into the device. I don't know how deep it extends, but some of those structures down there, they go inside past the hull. The life forms down there, there's a hub of activity. We'd have to take the shuttle in, but it's a chance, sir. It might be a way that doesn't involve using the warp, using the Kintsugi. But we'd have to act fast.
That's our way in. Let's get down there. Assemble the original away team that we took to the subspace relay. I think we're the people that know more about it than anybody else. Let's get down there.
So let's cut to that, if that seems fair. Meru, are you ready to go along on this? You're still working on this.
Well, Meru likes to multitask with various projects, but her curiosity and hope to not have to destroy a bunch of life forms. So I think she's going to put this next project on hold for now and go if the captain would like her along for the ride.
So, Donna, this is the challenging bit. Kintsugi is going to try and maintain a parallel course, trying to maneuver around to use the sensors. You're growing closer to the other system. The colony is in that system. You're going to pilot this shuttle down, trying to not be a target. You've reinforced the batteries on this thing because you know what the energy dampening field does. You've already seen that. So we'll assume that the group has put together some shielding, temporary as it might be, to keep the power from going out, and you're going to fly down. So
what are we looking at to not
difficulty
be a threat?
difficulty 3 to get down with all systems intact. Difficulty 2 to land.
Okay.
Like if you get a 2, there might be going to be some problems to the shuttlecraft, kind of thing.
Is
that sorry, David, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, is there any way that other people can help?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. One person can do an assist on this.
I do have small craft
Okay.
as one of my skills, so yeah, I think I'll be well placed to take the second chair.
Okay.
Sorry, Lowell, I was just wondering, is that difficulty taking into account my precision maneuvering, or?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, let's take that down one. You bought the feat for it, so
Yeah.
talent. Sorry, not feat.
Feet. So that's difficulty 1, 2. I'm inclined not to look like a threat, so I'm gonna take something out of the momentum pool
Okay.
and make like a fish, as we say. So control con, is that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 4 successes.
4 successes. And Captain?
Sorry, and one. So 1 extra back into the momentum pool and 1 extra threat for you, Lowell. So
okay.
I'll put those in.
And yeah, success from me.
Yeah. So you will pilot this down. What does that look like? Like, what do you have to do to not appear to be a threat and not like maneuver through this field here?
So sorry, we've got 5 successes, so that's on difficulty 2, so that's 3 extra momentum, so we'll be wasting 1. So can I spend 2 to make some kind of a trait that we can use?
Sure. Like calculated flight path or something like that to get out of here quickly?
Or something like not just not seen as a threat, but basically not seen as something of interest at all.
Okay. Mostly harmless.
Mostly harmless, yeah.
Okay.
So I wonder if, when we get into the kind of range that we're worried about, maybe with Carlton's assistance, we can do something with the thrusters to make us tumble like a piece of space rock.
Yeah, you don't even register. Like you've got this protection up. You run yourself like a thing, and then kind of catch at the last minute, catch your momentum with the thruster to bring alongside, and then land. And the sensors will show that there is, surrounding these structures, kind of held in by the shielding, there is some atmosphere, but it seems like leaked stuff. As the team disembarks, you will see that the structures that are on the surface are clearly not flush with the machine itself. These look like things that were built later. They seem like very primitive sealed buildings. And they're pretty small. Some of them have kind of fallen apart. It seems like whoever did this kind of were using reclaimed parts or something to build, because it doesn't look like the other things you'll see. But you will, with rebreather masks on and stuff, as you move here, you'll see that there is a large like entryway down into this thing. So let's paint our scene. What shape is this entryway? Is it like a round iris? Is it like unfolding doors? Is it hexagonal? What do you think, Donna? What do we see on screen here?
Yeah, I like the idea of this iris of this, typically tough metal, but I think we see that it's quite flexible, and we see that classic um, tiny hole at the very end, and maybe we see like a final shunt or maybe like a force field blocking that smallest gap.
And when you come up to this thing, like it clearly registers your presence, and you will see the iris start to open. Meru, what is the way down? Is it steps? Is it like an escalator? Is it a lift? Is it like a beam? What is the like to go down? What is it?
I think it is. I think what we see is we just see like this sort of like greenish gas. Like there's no like obvious platform or anything. It's just like this buoyant gas that is emerging from there.
And you can tell, like with your tricorder, you can tell that it has a buoyancy to it. And I assume with some sort of like line connected. Vate, I assume you're the person who steps out. And you'll step out and you will start, you get a few steps in, and then you'll start to slowly descend down, clearly carried by this thing. And there is this shaft that goes down, you would guess about 100 meters as you're descending there. What you come into a hall when you kind of land, Vate, and it's clearly built for people who are significantly taller than you. So think the engineers from Alien, like that height kind of thing. What's the striking thing about this sort of entry hall that you come into?
That it's this big cavernous tunnels that are going through that are for a different scale of humanoid than us. I think what's really striking about it is the statues that line the tunnels of that are sort of like androgynous and like kind of vague in their definition, right? But they possess it's lit by these glowing eyes that go through.
Absolutely. And I think the thing that will strike you, Vate, is all of them have these knives in their hands that look very familiar to you. Captain Carlton, it kind of moved along. You will see that besides these statues, there are kind of etchings on the walls, and some of them look like maybe diagrams of planetary systems. Some of them look like they might be like figure representatives, like these statues. Some of them look like sort of like weird simplified shots of like multiple of these doomsday machines. And then there'll be some shots of them like these doomsday machines, and you'll see there are things that they're fighting, like these weird shapes in some cases, like stellar cloud things. You'll see some where it looks like they've got ships that they're fighting. And as you get kind of towards the middle of it, you'll see that there's a shot of these ships going, and you will see them fighting these 3 enormous cubes. And they have all of that work, that patterning on it that makes you certain that they're Borg cubes.
Would you look at this team? These, whatever this is, it's got some history going way back.
This thing must have gone past the alpha quadrant, past the beta quadrant, maybe the other side of the delta or the gamma quadrant.
Quite possibly.
What is the doorway at the end of this like? Is it a fold across? Is it a iris, or as you were going to say, a sphincter, or something else there that we see?
I think let's steal for some other canon. I think it's very much like a blast door from another film-based series.
Hey, we'll see that kind of start to open, and you will see these figures about your height, humanoids. You can see that they have like spacesuits on, but these look like canvas and rubber and plastic. These are very sort of steampunky kind of looking. None of them are exactly the same. These humanoids have kind of bulbous heads and sort of ridges on their heads, and their skin is a deep purple, and they are a group of them are moving forward. They don't have anything in their hands, like they don't have weapons or anything on them. They're kind of walking forward and looking at you, and then they'll stop and they'll be like, and one of them will kind of come forward and will start talking to you.
It's got a universal translator going.
Yeah. I think it'll take a bit. There's that weird picking up of things. You say some things, they say some things. They're looking at like the devices, the tech that you have, like the tricorders and the translators and stuff. They're clearly like, they're like in awe of that. And finally, and are you the ones who started it?
No, we are not.
You didn't look tall. I mean, we thought those might be represented, but everything is big here.
We come from outside. This vessel threatens our people. Do you know how to control it?
We do not control it. We should come in. After a while, the atmosphere, the air will leak out. We should go in.
Lead on.
Gesture in, and I'll take you in, and you'll see a complex. We got a nice matte painting background of the complex here. Again, not to the scale of these people, but we'll see that they've kind of built onto it. Inside of here, they've clearly set up smaller structures and things, and they will bring you in, and they will say, we found this place generations ago, many generations ago, and it has always provided for us. There are machines which produce food, and we can make basic shapes for solids to build things. Some of that we use to try and build observatories outside, but it has never moved before. We have been here at least 20 generations, and it has always stood still. But some cycles ago, it woke up and it began to move. Some of our people went out to see, and we have been watching, and we saw it destroy a ship, and we saw it then destroy planets.
That's what's threatening one of our planets.
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault.
We've just lived here.
It's not your fault. Someone's poked the hornet's nest, as we like to say.
How
Can
did
you
you
tell
people?
us? Go ahead.
How did you people arrive here?
What is said is that there was a sleeping ship sent out from our planet, and that there was a crisis, and they picked up energies. They could tell that there was energies, and they desperately landed here, and they found the passage inside, and we stripped the ship as it was broken up to build our first things. In those first days, those first generations had a tough time until they found the creation machines that could make things.
How much deeper down into the world? How much deeper do your people live? How far have you gone?
This is the level that we live on. It goes for a ways. There are some deeper passages, but there is no air in the deeper places, and it gets hot down there.
Do you mind if we take a look around?
We would wish to escort you. You understand?
Sure. We would like to prevent your home, from destroying other worlds.
Absolutely. We should show you the screen.
Mhm.
And he will lead you through this place until you come to a crystalline display, and you can see that there is an image of space there, and it will point and it will say, that thing has gotten bigger and bigger, and you can see in the center of it is this nebula shape. But Ward, I think you have enough astronavigation as you're looking at the star things in here, and you're looking at where it's at. That nebula is definitely the one that you tracked that it was heading towards, but it is not where it's supposed to be.
You mean the charts are incorrect, or the nebula has moved, or who knows?
Well, the nebula looks like it's in that star system now. The one with the Beta Z colony. Looks like it's moving this way.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to waste time consulting. I'm gonna take on this challenge. It's a red rag to a bull, let's say. Um,
Captain, you will get a communication from the Kintsugi.
Number one, what is it?
Captain, Romulan warped are decloaking. They're powering up. We're going to red alert.
Deal with them however you can.
And I think we do get that shot outside of the Kintsugi. We see this Romulan warbird decloaking, and we see it swooping in an attack run, clearly aiming to knock the Kintsugi into the mouth of this thing. And I think that as you're staring at that nebula, Vate, as you're looking at it moving, I think you will hear a voice in your head. And she says, "Oh, well, this is quite a coincidence, Vate. Are you aboard that thing?"
We have to stop it, Ventos.
"Oh, I will, when my planet killer eats it."
There are people here, Ventos. There are innocents. You don't need to do this.
And I think you can see her face in your mind, and she goes, "No, I do need to do this." And I think that's where we're going to cut for our episode here. We have you in the Doomsday Machine with the potential of maybe seeing if you could find the controls. We've got the Kintsugi under attack by this Romulan warbird. And we've got a second doomsday weapon of a different kind from a different species, controlled by that psychic woman heading this way, clearly intending to fight in system these two things with that Beta Z colony caught in between. Dun, dun, dun. To be continued. Sound good? Okay. I would, yeah, we're going to have a Starship combat next time, yes. So I would like to do a quick stars and wishes. Hopefully my big wish is that we have Alan back, so we can have our engineer on the Kintsugi and dealing with things there. But Donna, can I start with you, stars and wishes wise?
Yeah. Obviously, the challenge this week with drawing in so many strands that we've seen before. Love it. I'm going to retain my big star for our B plot. Giving me the chance to curse out all these senior officers with their plans and machinations and concerns that I'm so angry about. So yes, yeah, great stuff.
Awesome. Anything wishes wise?
No.
Okay.
I think we're on a good course.
Okay. Captain Carlton.
Stars, some awesome RP around the table. Especially with everybody bought a little bit different for when they played the quick characters. I thought that was really, really good. And to you, Lowell, very fun episode. You brought in so many different elements, and I think what I really liked is how you clearly had a set plan, and you were happy for us to sort of witter about various off topics, and you did use them, like, I'll put that on the shelf, and if a 20 comes up, that may affect that, and lo and behold, 20 did. So, kudos to you for that. Wishes, let's have some big spends of of CGI money. Maybe a disengagement. You don't get to see them very often.
Right.
Yeah, maybe something big CGI wise.
Absolutely. And I like those weapons things, the communication and the weapons things that you built are still on the table to be worked on, especially the weapons, the Borg nanite thing is more than halfway done. So it's still a possibility here. But we've also got the exploration of this ancient site. So we got a lot of interesting options for where you want to go. David.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit all of the things that I wanted from last time. So wonder and science and space. So yeah, I'm just anticipating seeing some more space combat. Yeah, I liked the personal interactions. I hadn't seen Ward get that emotional yet, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, just more character interactions.
Okay. And Will.
I'd like to. That just reminded me to give a star for the ensign dressing down the bridge crew. Junior lieutenant already holding people to account, much like his career history. I thought it was a great session. Of course, I thought our captain was very captain-like this session. Very. It was like you just watched Wrath of Khan. I love the bleep up. Yeah. Should have known. Yeah, I loved the B plot. I loved how that was all set up. Thought it was nice to see all of the crew, to a great extent, like all of the different sides and different locations of it. My wishes would be, I had a big star all round for, how much I love all the weird, deep sci-fi stuff and everything, right? And the dilemma, and when it's there's a hole in the hull, right? But built on top of that hole is a civilization. That's a great hook. That's amazing. Because we can't just blow it up now either. We have to. It wouldn't be very. You would be disappointed in an episode where the Enterprise murdered 1,000 people to save 10,000. Right? Like, yeah. My wishes would be obviously for Alan to be back. For a lot of stress to be thrown at us. Because there are mechanisms for relieving stress as well, right? Like healing up, like that. So I would encourage all kinds of stress on all of us in any context necessary. But obviously, I'm the one who's willing to take it most, I suppose.
Right.
I was also wondering, because we've got the away team and the Kintsugi, I'd just like to suggest that maybe we choose a side character as well to
exactly. Yeah, I want to have everybody have a character on board the ship for the space combat, so we can kind of do that, so everybody has a chance to participate. Yeah,
we have Lee here on the surface. So
okay, awesome. Thank you all so much for going along with this. I definitely wanted to have a big space monstery thing that got mentioned like a long time ago in one of the early things, and I was like, okay, we're gonna have one of those before the end. And so I rewatched the Doomsday Machine episode of original Star Trek a while back. It's one of the wildest ones in many ways. Thank you all so much. I am going to stop the recording.